Hey guys, in this short video we'll be taking a look at the different collision types available in the arcade space shooter template. We're going to go over three different specific collision types. The normal collision type, or the default type, which is what you've seen. The ship hits an object and actually goes through the object, becoming invulnerable for about a second. There's also a solid collision type, which means that the ship actually bounces off the surface. And there's a third collision type, which is meant for level bounce, which basically means that the ship gets stuck in the surface. It doesn't take damage, it doesn't bounce, and it doesn't go through it. And the way we accomplish that is very simple, is by using tags, and you can see them right here. So for the default collision, you don't need any tag. If the ship hits something and that object doesn't have any tags, it'll go through the normal collision process. If the actor that it hits, or the element that it hits, has the tag environment, the ship actually bounces off of the surface and does not go through it. And if the element has the tag bounce, the ship actually just gets stuck in the object. And again, the reason for these types of collisions will become evident as we jump into Unreal, but think about a game like Star Fox or any of those arcade space shooters, right? If you're going on a track, if you're on rails, and you hit an element, you hit an enemy, or you hit an obstacle, you don't want to stop in your tracks, right? You want to get hit and you want to keep going, right? If you recall, again, I keep going back to Star Fox. If you recall hitting something on Star Fox, say a building or an obstacle, you don't get stopped in your tracks. You hit it, you become invulnerable for a second, and you keep going, right? So that's the normal mode of collision. Solid collision is used for something that you definitely don't want the player to go through. Say the bounce of a level, or say that you want to funnel the player through a specific area and you don't want the player to go through a certain area. Then you want to use the solid collision type. And the bounce are usually used for maybe an invisible wall. Say that you're having a level in all range mode and you want to enclose the level with an invisible wall. You might want to use the bounce collision type, meaning you don't want the player to take damage when he hits the collision. You don't want it to go through it. You just want to prevent the player from going through. So let's just take a quick look. It's a lot easier if I just illustrate it. So this is just a test level, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a random cube. I'm going to put it in the level, and I'm going to scale it, let's say 20 by 20 by 20. Okay, so this is just a solid object, right? If I just go ahead and click play, you'll notice that I hit the object, but I went through it. And let's illustrate this a little bit easier. Let's just make this 5 in the X, just more like a wall. Right, so notice that the ship actually takes damage. It becomes red. Part of your shield is gone, but you just keep going, right? If I just grab this same wall and I add a tag, and we're going to go to actor tags, not components. You want to go into the actor tag, and you type environment. If I hit the wall now, you see that I'm bouncing off. Okay, fair enough. Or I use the tag bounce and see what happens now. Notice that I'm pretty much just stuck. I'm not taking any damage. I'm not bouncing off. I can still kind of move around and go about my day. So another thing that you should consider is that the behavior for collision when you're on all range mode and on track mode are slightly different. So if you have no tags, if I just delete the tags here, there we go, the collision is exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this and put it on the track here. If I just go on the track and I hit an object with normal collision, I'm just going to go through it and move on. But what happens if the object is an environment? Instead of bouncing off like you would see here, what's going to happen is that you're actually going to get hit back based on the normal of the object. And the reason for that is because you don't want the player to be basically derailed or bounce off the course. So if you want, for example, to put an obstacle on the course where you want the player to be funneled to a specific area, say 2 walls like here, you want the player to go through this tiny corridor. If the player comes through here, he's going to get bounced back until he moves to the right place. He can't go through it, right? If we just go here, let me just make this maybe like a 30. Well, let's make it like 100, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But say that you wanted to force the player to go through a corridor, right? You would use that type of collision. Also, if you have an environment like a landscape, you will want to use the tag environment to make sure that the player cannot go through the landscape. If you look at the Corneria level, you'll see that the actual environment, the landscape actor, actually has the tag environment. And this is the reason why when you're going through the tight space, as you're going to the city, if you hit one of those walls, you will actually not go through the wall. Okay? So that's pretty much it. It's a very short video, but this is something that you should keep in mind when you're building your levels. The default collision, you don't have to do anything. The player will just go through it and it will be invulnerable for about half a second. If you put the tag environment, the player will actually bounce off the surface if it's in all range mode, or it will actually be hit and be sent back in the track if it's on track mode. And bounce is just used usually for invisible walls where the player just gets stuck but doesn't take any damage. Okay? Thanks a lot, guys. Let me know if you have any questions about the different types of collision. And I will see you on the next video.